Hi, Ida Williams, talking about surviving a very difficult day, subbing, part 2. What do you do with an extremely difficult classroom? So I talked about the morning, how we got through the morning until recess. Yay, we made it to recess. Now it's really important to have a visual, so every time they earned a letter for recess, I had written out letters on a full sheet of paper while they were in music class or in the library. And so I taped onto the whiteboard an R. Then I taped up the E. Then I taped up the C. So the students can see a visual. That's very, very helpful. So they earned recess. I mean, not completely, but we did go out to recess. Now, that doesn't necessarily make your life totally easy because things can happen at recess. We reviewed the rules before going outside, but I still had a problem with fighting. My second problem was, kind of to my surprise, I was alone out there. Two of the girls started to get into a fist fight. Actually, it was the girl, one of the girls was the one from the morning that had been in the hallway getting into a fight, and now she had picked on this very little, tiny, spunky little girl named Jocelyn. Now, that's sometimes the funny dance between the bullier and the bullied, is that one is a provoker and one's an antagonizer, and I don't know, there's kind of a strange thing that goes on there. And I could not get the tiny little girl to stop screaming at the bigger girl, so I held onto her like this, sitting on a bench. Now, you're not supposed to touch students, you know, all the things they tell you in the sub-manual. But I have never had students pulverize each other on my watch. And these two were coming very close to smack downing each other. So I had the little girl like this, and she's screaming at the big one. And I kept saying to the big one, Alicia, walk around, count to 10, take deep breaths. She tried to do that, came back. Tried to do that, came back, to pick on her. Another difficulty with fighting is that other kids can be attracted to it because it's kind of exciting and they think they might get the security guard out there and they all think it's very exciting. So luckily the kids did not do that, but one boy did kind of come in and try to make the situation worse by antagonizing the bigger one. So I had to get him out of the picture. You know, I just told him to completely go. So the rest of the class is fine, so I had to actually take these two in, which meant leaving the class for 1 minute. I just ran these two into the office. One I was holding onto her wrist, and this little one I was holding onto her wrist. I walked them into the office. Couldn't see anyone there. They were all somewhere, and I deposited them, said these two were fighting, and went back out to my classroom on the recess yard. Yeah, I actually went down the slide. It was fun. I haven't done that in years. And you know, I met such great kids in this class. Even the kids that got in trouble and that were fighting, I ended up having chats with them, such as, you're a nice kid. Why do you make choices like this? You're a smart kid. You can do better than this. So even those kids that are bulliers or troublemakers, I'll try to have a conversation with them. And you can see that they appreciate it. Sometimes they just don't get the attention that they crave, and that's part of the whole problem. So in the afternoon, we went back in. One way to get kids back into the classroom, actually from recess, which can be a chore in itself, is to tell them it's snack time. And the cafeteria had dropped off a snack. It was pineapples. Sometimes those get thrown across the room. But that does kind of entice them in. And of course I always have my Starburst. So I said, we're going to go back in, we have a snack. So we went back in for snack and packets. Now, this gets tough because with a difficult classroom, you sometimes don't really get enough of a lesson plan. With a more focused class, you can do more of a lesson plan. In this situation, you're just trying to get them to do these packets. So we went back into more packet work. Kids are getting antsier and antsier as the days goes on. The most difficult hour with elementary school is from 2 to 3 o'clock. There's a lot of distractions with announcements, with kids getting picked up early, with students saying, "Can I use the bathroom?" In this classroom, they were asking me if they could call their mom on the class phone. I said, no, I don't think so. You're in third grade, you don't need to call your mom. Can you go to the bathroom again? Haven't you ever been on a road trip and you had to wait? You can wait. Students will take advantage of a sub in thinking that they can leave the classroom more often, and that can get really distracting and annoying, and you kind of get a sixth sense of knowing who really needs to go, or if it's really a good time for them to go out or not. There are some teachers that just, they go at 12:10. They go to the bathroom at 12:10. That's it. That to me is just a little bit rigid, because I know that I often go. So I'm a little bit more lenient, but you have to be very careful about letting kids go in and out of the classroom. Yeah, it can become a major distraction. So I gathered the kids on the carpet again. I was so happy this classroom had a carpet. Some classrooms have no little rug to gather on, but from K to 3, wow, I think it's essential. And we played one of my favorite games, which is Silent Ball, partly because the kids have to stay quiet. What they do is they're sitting in this kind of a circle, and they throw the ball to each other. There is no talking. If you talk, you're out. If you miss it and don't catch it, you're out. And if you're a bad thrower, you're out. So I'm the referee. Now I prefer a soft soccer ball like the kind you get at IKEA, but yesterday I only had this one, so I used this. Now this is a really fun game. The students love it. The only problem is when students do get out, they need to either pull out of the circle, or sometimes they'll go back to the classroom. So you kind of have your game going on, and then you have other students in the classroom. Which brings me to the point that sometimes as a teacher, you've got to give up control. You've got to trust in your students making good choices. You've got to reinforce the idea that they should be self-directed and make good choices. And you have to cope with, varying things going on in the classroom. But if you can engage a majority of students in a difficult classroom with a game like Silent Ball, it really helps. In a great classroom, they'll all play, no problem whatsoever. You can adapt this game in different ways. You can play it on the rug with little ones. 4th and 5th graders can sit on their desk, and then if they're out, they sit in their chair. So that's really helpful. And if kids aren't getting out, you can make it harder. You can say you have to throw it and clap, or something, some kind of thing to make it more challenging. Okay, we played Silent Ball. We played Heads Up 7-Up. It was, and then of course, I don't know why they say subbing's a thankless job, because teachers said to me, "Oh, thank you, that was such a tough class." And of course I have my wonderful students who say, "Mrs. Williams, are you going to come back again? I hope you come back again." I'm like, "Oh, sure, I'll be back."